Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 400. We've made it. There's a lot of you that have been listening since day one, and I appreciate all of you. There's some of you that this is going to be the first episode, not episode 400 for you, and I appreciate you as well. Today on the show, we have Paul Frasco, who's been on the show a couple times, handful of times, and also has been listening since pretty much day one. So kind of honored to have him on the show for guest or episode 400 rather. He has a ton of cool things. He's actually doing his own car show named after his company as kind of a marketing play. And so we take a deep dive into that, what that's like, how you can do it, how you can create your own car show and promote your brand doing so. So this week's episode is brought to you by autofiber.com, autofiber.ca, and autofiber.com.au. If you use offer code Jimbo, you're going to save 20%. My favorite thing right now is the Towel of the Month Club. I think it's a great deal. It's like $1 a month, something like that. Maybe a little more, a little less. I'm not sure the exact price, but right under $1 a month, and you get a new towel every month. What's cool about that is you get to sample towels that you may like instead of having to buy a bundle of them or spend $5 on a towel only to get it and realize that you hate it. So check out autofiber.com, use code Jimbo. It even works on the Towel of the Month, and get yourself some new towels. Also sponsored by the Detailer Inner Circle. If you're looking to grow your detailing business, I teamed up with a marketing expert, and we do a slew of things through the Detailer Inner Circle. It's actually the only way currently to get the Google AdWords course, and I have a few other courses in conjunction with top of the line marketing tactics, text platforms, ways to deal with your whole customer database, how to follow up with them. And of course, we integrate it with House Call Pro. housecallpro.com/ADP is where you can see a free demo of that. It's a CRM for detailers, the best CRM for detailers currently. And with that, let's get into today's show. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 400. We made it to 400. Actually, technically more than 400 because of the daily detail tips and stuff, but I don't want to be a dick about it. Anyway, today we have Paul Frasco, and kind of like what I did with Claude Harris and a lot of these guys that I've had on the show multiple times. And we're kind of following your journey, and then we bring it back onto the podcast. And Paul's one of those guys as well, where we've had him multiple times on the podcast, and I highly suggest you go to autodetailingpodcast.com. If you just search Paul, all his previous episodes will come up. However, last time he was on, he was talking about a car show that he was going to have named after his own company, Pro and Local Detailing. And so, Paul, welcome back to the show, first of all.
Thanks, Jimbo. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for taking the time on kind of a crappy day for you, or a day that got kind of, whatever.
Just hectic.
Just hectic. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited. You sent me some pictures of your car show. So for people who didn't hear the last episode where you were kind of, I don't even know if everything was set in stone yet, or you just kind of had the idea. Give us the idea that you had and kind of why you decided to do it, and then kind of lead us into how it worked out and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I don't even remember what we talked about on the podcast either, because I know we talked.
I think you were doing
off the air about it too.
Yeah,
so I don't remember what I said on it, but I'll just give a.
Yeah, I think it's something about the American Legion. I think you were looking at having it at an American Legion chapter.
Yep.
I think that may have been something else you were talking about. But anyway, so yeah, just go on to how it happened.
So yeah, basically I had the idea to start a car show under the name of my company and build it up every year, make it annual. And the amount of publicity and exposure and all that marketing that will give to my business is incredible. And just the first year was just a test run last year, and that got us a ton of jobs. But and we wanted to do it for charity too. So it's great for the community. So it's a win-win-win. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, let's call it the Pro and Local Car Show, because my company's Pro and Local Detailing. and just build it up every year, have it and get it bigger and bigger and better and better. And by, year 5, 6, like if you don't know what my company name is by then in the local area, and you're in the car scene, I don't know if, living under a rock or something, but cause I just feel like it's going to have that effect if people look forward to that show and we're drawing, say, 500 cars or something like that, 1,000 cars. That's kind of the goal in the future for it. So that was really the thought process behind it. Well, let me host our own, organize our own, make it just a fun kind of laid back show, not a huge typical car show,
right.
Where there's
Did you get the idea from
Did
you get the idea from someone? I know you have a marketing background, and one of the reasons why I like having you on the show is you try everything. You try internet, you try billboards, you try all different kinds of things. So did you just think of it on your own, or did you get the idea from someone else?
I feel like I got the idea partially from someone else, but I can't think of where it came from right now. It's, maybe I'll think of it later, but I really can't remember.
Gotcha.
But I know I was thinking of doing it for a couple years now, and we finally, got it going because we did some charity car washes in the past. Like 7 years ago, I started doing charity car washes, just something simple to hand out some brochures, but also raise some money for charity. Mm-hmm. And for a very small business at the time, that's, it's hard for small businesses to donate to charity because you're a small business. You don't have a lot of money in the beginning. Even later on, it's the business is tough, but, so to donate to charity, that is pretty difficult, for some companies to do, but something simple like a car wash, that's how we started. We raised like $200 in an afternoon, donate it, and we handed out a ton of brochures and cards and stuff like that.
So walk us through the car
that's
show.
That's kind of what it started at.
Got it. That makes sense, and I think a car show is a much better idea than a car wash.
Yeah, they're both good, but the car show was
something where
you can draw a ton of people to and get a lot of attention, and definitely less labor. Well, I don't know. This year was pretty busy, but
I guess a different type of labor.
Different type of labor, but it was definitely, you need a lot of helpers with the show. But
true. Huh?
So basically, we had the idea to start our own car show under our own name, and that way everyone will know who we are within 5 years. And it's a show that people circle on their calendars. They look forward to every year. That's what I want it to be. But then we were like, okay, what kind of charity are we going to do? We don't have a specific one in mind, but my business partner, Chris Vella, is in the Air Force, and we're like, okay, let's do some kind of military charity. And there's like tons of charities out there. Like we're thinking like Wounded Warriors or something like that. But I was just a little turned off by some of these huge corporations or these huge charities because they have a lot of like administrative costs and stuff like that. You don't know exactly where the money's going. Some of these large nationwide charities, you donate. You donate $1,000, and by the time it gets to the actual charity, there's like $300 left.
Right.
After all the costs associated with the charity, So
right, totally.
We wanted it to be local. So the Holyoke Soldiers Home is our local veteran hospital,
okay,
place, and they take donations. They have a lot of volunteers, and they need help. And we chose that one because they're local, and we can physically hand them the check. There's no middleman. There's no administration costs or anything like that. We literally go in there and take a picture with them and hand them the check every year.
That's awesome.
So and last year was the test run of the show, and
got it.
We only raised $430 last year, but it was
still
a start.
Heck yeah. So will they in turn send out some of their volunteers to help run the car show too, or help out with the car show?
They mentioned that they would, and the American Legion mentioned that they would, but they just didn't have anyone available.
Got it.
It was just mostly us, but that's fine. Like I planned for us doing everything ourselves. If we had extra people, great, but I didn't want to rely on it because it's better to have more people for something like that than less people.
Right. Right. So was this the second year you did the car show?
Yeah. Well, I call this the first year.
Got it.
Because last year was a test run. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sitting in the van and my employee's vacuuming my car, so.
No, I can actually barely hear it.
Okay, good.
So tell us how last year went and then what you decided to do differently this year.
So we did it as a test run last year because we had no idea what we were doing. Like,
right.
Of course. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so we only advertised it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And we got 46 or 47 cars last year.
Wow.
Raised $430. And it went pretty good, but I took every car that came in. I had a clipboard and I wrote down their name and number, what kind of car they had, email, and I called them like a month after the show, and I got feedback from every single one of them on what was good, what was bad, how can we improve the show to make it better, because we're new at this.
It's a great idea.
And they gave me a lot of good info, and we took some of it and used it, and we had our own plans. And this year it was a lot more thought out. We had like 6-7 months of advertising.
How did you advertise it?
And so this year we run 2 different radio stations running ads for it, and the radio stations gave us like some free PSA announcements or whatever they called it, because it's a charity. So some radio stations will do a 15-second ad for you for free if it's charity.
Got it. Interesting.
And the radio station actually helped us with the event. The DJ for the morning talk show, he was our DJ for the show.
Oh.
So one of the local like radio
awesome.
Personalities was there.
Right.
Pat Kelly from Laser 993.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. Because I didn't have time to make announcements and stuff. I was trying to manage the whole show.
Right.
So he took care of that and played the music. It was great. So we were on the radio. I boosted the Facebook event for like $300 or $400, and that got us like 1,000 people interested in it. And I was gonna say, so we did that. The little postcard, the glossy postcards you can get printed up.
Yep.
We had 4,000 postcards printed up, and my goal was to get rid of all of them. I didn't want to have any left over because that's pointless to have a flyer for an event left over on the event. Like the whole point of a flyer is to give it in someone else's hands and spread the word. So I gave them all to my employees and friends and our customers, and threw them around the mall and different car shows. We went to different car shows and threw them in cars. So that helped out a lot. That's pretty much it. I think that's all we did. We did a couple email blasts, but mostly just the radio, Facebook, some flyers, and email. And I think that was it for advertising.
And did you start to see kind of the word spread? Whereas, like, I think because car people, especially car people that already go to car shows, they want to see like other people going to car shows, or they're in a car club, or so. Did you kind of see the natural, organic kind of word of mouth about the car show spread throughout? As soon as, like, I don't know, say a Mustang guy, right? Would he go back to his Mustang club, and then a bunch of their guys would join?
Yeah. So you just reminded me. The other way we advertised was I contacted these websites that list all these car shows and the car clubs. Mm-hmm. I sent them emails and sent them the flyers, and I told them to help me spread the word. So I contacted like the Corvette Club of New England, the New England Car Club, all these different clubs. I contacted them, and then I emailed like websites like Hemmings.com or whatever they're called. Mm-hmm. There's like a couple different websites that list all the local car shows, and some of these guys just look, and all the shows happening in the area, they're all listed out, and they just kind of pick and choose which ones they want to go to. So if you get listed on those sites too, that's awesome. And some of them are free. I think one I had to pay like $15 or something to list my show on there, and the other ones were all free.
It's another great reason why
that drew some people too, because a couple people mentioned that, oh, it was a good thing you put the car show on Hemmings. I wouldn't have known about it. A couple people came from a couple hours away too for the show.
Wow,
which was pretty incredible.
So how many cars did you have the second year?
For my little show.
Yeah, that's awesome. though. That's kind of a cool.
I was like, I felt bad. I'm like, you're gonna have to come 2 hours just for this. The show sucks.
Like, sorry for the letdown. Come back in like 5 years.
Yeah.
But you know what?
What was the last thing you said?
I already forgot. Or I said, how many cars came this year compared to the kind of trial year?
So this year, all the people that we checked in when they came up, we had a big line of cars and we were signing them in and then telling them where to park. All the cars that we checked in, I counted them. We got 110 cars.
Whoa.
And then we did have more than that because there was a handful that kind of snuck by us.
Right.
And a few people that just came in and stayed for like, half hour or 20 minutes and then left.
And did you charge like a registration fee for that?
So I'm guessing like 150 roughly.
So you almost
people
tripled.
That kind of,
dang.
Yeah. And for registration fee, we didn't do pre-registration because that's taking too much time to print up their names and make these dash plaques and stuff. I don't want to do that because it's charity. I'm not making $1 off this event. We're donating 100% of the money.
Right.
So I didn't, I'm not going to spend all this extra time. I'm already investing a couple $grand advertising it through my business. So it was just show up kind of thing. It's supposed to be a laid back show.
Right.
So the entry fee, like spectators are free. And the entry fee was just a donation of any amount. So like some people donated like $3, some people $5, $20, $50. So like whatever they wanted to donate, because we're giving it all to the Soldiers Home. That way it's a lot easier.
Right.
Just keeping it simple that way.
I think it kind of, even down to your business name, kind of lends itself to so much opportunity and growth in the future too. Probably integrating food trucks or a DJ or even bands or whatever. I think it's such a cool idea and such an unconventional idea that seems, I've really never heard of another detailer starting their own car show, but I think it's such a good idea that no one does,
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of wanted to bring it back.
Not a lot of people. A handful of detailers, you hear about them doing car washes, but not car shows. I've only maybe heard of one other detailer doing a car show, maybe one or two, but not often. But yeah, we did have food trucks and stuff this year.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we had the DJ playing music, but we had Carrabba's was one of the vendors. They brought their food catering stuff, and they were selling like chicken marsala and pasta and things like that. It was awesome.
Wow, that's cool.
There's some good Italian food, or the best you can get with like a chain type of place.
Yeah.
And I had my friend Teddy. He owns a local coffee shop, so he has this like little cart that has like a beer. It looks like a beer tap, but it's for his coffee. So he had nitro cold brew.
Perfect.
That he was giving out from Circuit Coffee. So we had a coffee vendor, and I had a food truck, Eddie and Angie's. They were doing like grilled cheese and hamburgers and stuff. And then I had a couple other vendors, like a tailor-made dent repair. He's doing demos for his PDR, and that's my dent guy. So he was there, and we had someone from the Soldiers Home, or they do a motorcycle run, like a charity motorcycle event. So there was a guy there that was promoting that for next year. So I had him there too, and he was raffling off an Indian motorcycle, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So I don't know. I didn't have a lot of time to talk to them, but that seems, they got a lot of cool stuff going on with them. So
that's
awesome. I'm gonna have them next year because it's the same charity. They just motorcycle run, and I'm doing the car show. So
totally, probably even combine it, huh?
Too. Yeah. We might in the future.
Now that I think about it, there's actually the Seal Beach Car Show, which is my local town car show. That's actually one of the biggest car shows around. But a local company, they make like T-shirts and apparel, and they are into motorcycles. Their kind of brand is more geared towards that. Anyway, the point is they kind of freshened up the Seal Beach Car Show, which was becoming kind of very old man with a lot of 55 Chevys and just old stuff. And they integrated motorcycles. And they actually named it
like
after
a motorcycle club, or
they created a motorcycle car show within the bigger car show, which was kind of a cool thing, and have it going on at the same time.
That's something I might do. I got to talk to them. That's a great idea too. That's a way to draw even more people to the show.
And it's a different crowd too. You know, it's people that are into motorcycles usually are generally different from a guy who's going to drive like a 32 Ford. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely different.
But it's a way to encompass
but I don't know.
more people.
Like a lot of my clients that have classic cars have bikes too. Like today, we just did the guy's Grand National in his driveway, and he had a Harley.
Interesting.
You know, so I feel like a good amount of them do have motorcycles too.
And I know it's still early on, so we don't have the full kind of results from it. But what has, and not that it was even about your business, even though I guess it kind of was, and it's okay to say that. Have you already started to receive calls for detailing? What did it kind of do to your business maybe day of? And then have you already started to get calls? Did you have your own booth there kind of promoting that? Or was it just the Pro and Local Car Show?
So I don't know exactly, because I was managing the show and checking all the people in with my business partner and then just trying to orchestrate the whole thing. And I was also like kind of trying to pick the cars that win the awards, judging some of the cars. So I had an employee managing the booth, and he was keeping track of all the donations, like putting it in the cash box, and he was handing out brochures. We had a ton of people come up and get brochures and take business cards, but I don't know how many because I didn't have time to be there.
Right.
You know, I know we had one guy came up to me and asked for a quote, you know, almost like a test spot on his car for coating and all that stuff. But I had to tell, at the show, and I had to tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry, here's my car, just call me on Monday. I can't even look at it right now because I have a line of cars that I got to check in. You know, I would love to talk to you, but I don't want to rush through anything either with you. It's not fair to you.
Right.
So, you know, it's just the show is just a little too busy. And I can't, you know, but last year we did test spots and quotes for people at the show, and we booked like a couple grand worth of coating jobs and stuff literally just at the show. We made appointments right there. So this year we just didn't have time. It was just too busy. But if you can get an employee or something dedicated to, you know, to that type of thing, like, but I know we got a ton of business from it because I did get a couple calls from guys that were at the show. They told me, oh, great turnout, you know, and they were like, I've been, you know, I heard about you. I wanted to get my car done, or, you know, I saw you at the show. I got your card, talked to your employees. We did get maybe 3 or 4. But I feel like not as much from last year because I don't know yet. You know, they didn't all fully come in yet. I mean,
it's just ended, right?
It's only been like 5 days
since
the show. So
right.
We might get some more response, but it was probably the same amount as last year, business-wise, that we got from it, if not more. But we definitely got a lot more publicity, and exposure, which is great. I mean, that was the original goal behind it, not to get jobs right away from it.
Right. It's like the total name of the game, right? Especially if you build it up.
Yeah.
Like your plan isn't to maximize as much kind of business out of it from day one. It's the 5-year plan is like let's grow this into a full-blown community event, right? And then by nature, and
where
even
people like look forward to it.
Exactly. And even your business name, like, Pro and Local, like lends itself so well to like so many opportunities within that car show. Yeah. You know, which is awesome.
It's such a general name.
But it's awesome, like Pro and Local food trucks or Pro and Local dent repair. Like, you know, it's like, so, it just lends itself so good to that. I love that. And you could even do things like if you did registration, you could probably pre-sell details to the car show once people register. You know, I mean, point being, there's so many things you could do.
Like give them like coupons or
hey,
have some kind of special rate or something.
Yep. Like you signed up for the show. Let's get your car detailed for the show. You know, I'll give you 25% off, or I'll donate 25% of the profits to the charity. You know,
that's a good idea.
So many things
we were we were going to do something like that, but we ran out of time.
Yeah, no. You're building the
But
following.
yeah,
though,
that's definitely like everyone that brings a show car in. That's a great idea to give them like a coupon or something.
I mean, I think you're doing the most important thing in growing the following and growing something that people look forward to. You could always add stuff or take out stuff later, But if you, like you said, if you grow something that people actually want to attend, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, because it's almost like I don't want to say like local celebrity, but it's almost like a lot of people will know who you are eventually after you host an event under your name and you draw like 500 or more people. Like, that's gotta give you some business, Well,
and that's one thing we talk about in the Detailer Inner Circle is becoming a local celebrity, right? And that's essentially what you're doing because, if someone comes to you to detail their car and they're, well, what's different between you and the guy down the street? It's like, well, I wash the car better. It's like, that's such a lame thing to say.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly, right? And so, but if you can explain, well, look, we do a yearly charity car show, blah, blah, you have, or people will probably just come to you because you do the car show, right? So your quote-unquote competition will just go away because they're really not even competition because they're not even on the map.
They're just, or they just have nothing else to talk about other than the car detailing.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like we have a lot of other things that we do. So it's, just start the conversation with a customer, a new customer.
Right.
And a lot of it, I've noticed over the years, a lot of my clients do business with us just because they like talking to us or they like us, or they're just interested, or we do a charity, show or all these different things that I do.
Right.
It helps.
Right.
So
what advice would you give to, say someone's listening to this, a detailer, and like, man, that's a great idea. What advice would you give to them? Like, where do they start?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If there's another detailer listening to this, not in your area, but in another area of the country or world, and they're like, man, this is a great idea. I want to start the Jimbo's local car show. What advice would you give to them to do it? Where do they start? Do you find a venue first? Do you start getting cars together first? Where do you start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to start with a plan. So that's what we started with. We just kind of sat down and thought about it. And
how far in advance do you think you need to plan for it?
Oh, hold on 1 second.
No worries.
We're just leaving this last job, and Steve, can you put him in the drop slot?
Real life auto detailing right here. I'm not going to edit this out because this is on the go with Paul Frasco.
Yeah, we're literally on the detail at Enterprise.
Which is crazy.
So, I'm sitting in the van.
Which is so rad because if people go all the way back to our first episode, I think you were still at Enterprise.
Yeah. I quit there, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think you were still at Enterprise doing
we detail cars for them.
Yep. So full circle.
Which is ironic.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your question. Advice for anyone. I don't even care if you're in the same area. It's, there's no.
There's no competition.
There's plenty of cars to go around.
The pro and
plenty
local.
of cars to go around and stuff. But yeah, if someone wants to start something like that, you got to start with a plan and a vision for it. You don't want to just kind of wing it because it could get messy. So get some kind of plan together of like what charity you want to do if you're doing a charity, and what type of venue you want it at. You got to think of a theme or something. You got to think of, do you want it like a cars and coffee type of show? Do you want it like more like a traditional car show? You want to have awards? Do you want it just to be like a cruise in where people just kind of come in and hang out? You got to kind of think of all that stuff. Really plan it out, and then.
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely get some volunteers. That really helped us this year. We would have been slammed if I didn't have, how many people do we have? 1, 2. We had 6 people helping out. I would have been slammed if I had 4. Like it would have been, ruined. I don't know. Yeah, it would have been a nightmare. So definitely over prepare a little bit for volunteers. The test run year went fine. I mean, that's a great tip of advice is just kind of do it on a super small scale first, and get your feet wet with it, and don't advertise it a lot. Just make it like a small car meet kind of thing, and like 50 cars or less, and that really helped kind of figure out, okay, what can I do better? Even from this year, we got a ton of feedback on how we can improve it.
Right.
So I would say that, and then after I got a plan together and all that, and kind of what direction I wanted to go with the show, I just started with the venue. I was just like, because it was a military charity, I started at the American Legion. I was like, can I use your place? And they didn't even charge us to use the facility because it was a charity that they supported. So that's huge too. So our only out-of-pocket expense for this show was like advertising it and our like awards to have those made up.
Wow, that's awesome. So yeah, because you don't want to accrue a bunch in a roundabout way. You're going to end up making that money back, but you don't want to accrue too much expense when I guess you could always deduct it from the charity, which sounds like you didn't really want to do, or maybe that's why you'll charge a registration fee next year. But okay, good advice. I love that. Yeah,
no, I didn't want to. We probably invested $2,000 in promoting this event.
Okay.
We raised just under $1,800. We got like 1736.
Awesome.
I didn't count. I have to recount it just to make sure. But the last time we counted, that's what we had.
That's awesome.
We had a couple donations come in like a couple days later. So
that's awesome.
But not too bad for kind of like the first year. $1,700. I'm pretty proud of that. But I want to donate the whole thing. I didn't want to, especially if I was taking money from it to cover expenses, I wouldn't have donated anything because I spent more than that promoting it.
Right.
But I can tell we definitely got more than that in business from it, or future business coming up in the next couple weeks, couple months.
That's awesome.
We definitely got a great response. Everyone was happy.
It's so cool.
It was a really, really good turnout. I'm super pumped on it.
That's so rad. And I think it's crazy. Around me, where parking is really hard to find, or big open lots are hard to find, there's always an American Legion with a ginormous parking lot. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's always open.
It's always open, and there's no one ever there.
Right?
And
It's always open. There's like 5 cars there at 2 p.m., and there's like some veterans in there drinking beers.
Exactly. And I think that's a great idea if military charities are your thing, or if you don't have a charity but you need an event space, why not just donate it to, I bet churches would be another one, but that may interfere with other people's beliefs or whatever. Maybe a hindrance, where I feel like the American Legion, people probably don't even know what it is, right? They're just like American.
If I was going to do a church, I'd probably just do a car wash. I don't know if I'd do a huge event like a car show.
Right. Probably detract a little bit.
We almost ran out of space.
Wow.
And that was my goal, was to pack this place.
Okay.
And we almost ran out of parking.
That's awesome.
for spectators and show cars. Someone gave me a tip.
Right?
What'd you say?
That's a good problem to have, though, right? Kinda.
Yeah, definitely. But we're actually gonna have it like either next year or the year after. We might do one more year at the Legion, but after that, it might be too busy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll need a bigger facility. So I think we're going to move it to our local shopping mall.
Oh, wow.
That's a great idea too, that a customer gave me, because malls are they're kind of like dying out a little bit.
Yep.
So they have more parking available.
Yep.
And the local mall for us, we actually have a contract to detail on the property.
Got it.
I think I told you about that before.
Yep, that was another thing.
That one's still kind of early stages, but that's a foot in the door right there, and I think they would definitely let us use the parking lot for a charity show. And it would probably draw people into the mall too. Like they'd be like, why not? They don't have to pay anything for it.
Yep.
So that might be a possibility in the next 2 years to have it over there and be able to hold, instead of 110, 150 cars, be able to hold 500 or more.
Right. Yep. That's awesome.
That's the longer term goal there. get to 500 and then see where it goes from there.
Yep. I can't wait. I can't wait to do that podcast when you're like, we're at the mall and we're packing out the mall. We got to find a new spot. That's what I love about
awesome.
doing.
Yeah,
like
we
these...
packed up the mall.
Yeah, which would be incredible, right? That'd be crazy. We're moving to the convention
center. Yeah, the only
center.
time the mall's packed is for freaking Black Friday.
Right? That's awesome. Well, Paul, if people want to connect with you, if they want to call you, email you, text you, whatever, pick your brain, I guess, about how to start a car show in their area. Who knows? It may be like a Pro and Local chapters, right? It's the new Cars and Coffee, but it's Pro and Local.
Oh, yeah.
So
franchise.
Franchise it. How can people connect with you? How can they find you and follow you and your company?
You can just Pro and Local at gmail.com. That's the email. Or Pro and Local on Instagram, PROANDLOCAL. Or you can feel free to find me on Facebook, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk to you and help you out.
Awesome, man. Thanks for making episode 400 an awesome one.
Thanks for having me. That's awesome, Jim. Well,